Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to talk about the preparation pattern of the course Financial Accounting and Reporting of CA professional level. It is one of the easiest courses to pass if you plan your study properly and if you practice. Now, practicing in this course is very important because it is a mathematical course largely. So, how much you have practiced in your home determines a lot in terms of your probability of passing the course. Now I'll talk about the preparation pattern in two stages. At first, I would tell you what should be your minimum preparation, and then I would give you some ideas on how can you extend that preparation if you want to take it further. Now, if you look at the question patterns of the Financial Accounting and Reporting course, you'll find that there are three major portions of the questions. First of all, we have the individual IS and IFRS, and we have questions from them. For example, if there is IS2, we have question of inventory. If there is IFRS 15, we can have questions from revenue. So we have questions on individual IS and IFRS, and this covers around 40 to 50% of the question of Financial Accounting and Reporting course. Then we have a single entity financial statement, and we have a consolidated or group financial statement that we need to prepare. So this is the three parts mainly which comprise the questions of Financial Accounting and Reporting. And there can be variations, but if you look at the previous questions, this has been the pattern. Now if I talk about the individual IFRS first, you first need to focus on your manual, that means the manual that has been provided by SEBI, the Financial Accounting and Reporting manual, and along with that you need to complete your suggested answer for the last 12 to 14 sessions, which means 6 to 7 years. Now first you need to complete this, and then there have been over the years some new IFRS like IFRS 15 on revenue. We have the financial instrument IFRS, that means IFRS 7, IFRS 9. So for these new IFRS, you need to take help of the study manuals and exam kits of other professional bodies. Like I had a lot of help regarding IFRS 15 from the financial accounting manuals of ACCA and also ICAW. So you can take help from those manuals in terms of the new IFRS, that means the IFRS 15 or the financial instrument IFRS or whichever IFRS that has come new in the last 2 or 3 years or recently whenever you are taking your exam. So the minimum scope that is for the individual IS and IFRS would be your manual, your suggested answer, and for the new IS and IFRS you need to go to take help from the manuals of other professional bodies. Now, when you are studying these IS and IFRS, you need to make sure that you are clearing your concept. That is the most important thing. You're clearing your concept and you are practicing at home. So, a lot of students make the mistake that they try to study a lot of materials, but they do not really clear the concept and they do not really do a lot of practice. So if you're studying a lot of materials but you are not really clearing your concept or you're not really doing practice, it would not bring the desired result for you. So it's important to concise your scope and then focus on that scope. And the scope I have already mentioned for those IS and IFRS. Now let's move on to the individual financial statements, which is pretty much straightforward. If you look at the 12 to 14 questions of the last 12 to 14 sessions, you'll find a lot of 12 to 14 individual financial statement questions and answers. So practice those. Practice the ones from the ICW question bank that is also integrated with ICAB. You'll find that in ICAB library or NILKit. Or in Chittagong, you'll find that in Andorkilla. There are two question banks. You can collect any one of them and then practice the individual financial statement question and then practice the individual financial statement questions. Now, when you're practicing the individual financial statement questions, individual financial statement is something you have been doing from your SSC years, right? So it's not new to you, but as you're giving examination in CA application professional level, so there would be a lot of complicated entries. Now you need to make a note of those complicated entries and how to account for those entries. For example, if there is a math in which a situation arises in which you need to account for deferred tax, now you need to make a separate note on how to do the calculation of deferred tax and what is the impact of that in your financial statement, so that before the examination you can revise the critical entries at a glance. So for individual financial statements, if you practice your previous year questions, that makes the suggested answers, you have 12 to 14 questions. You have 10 more in your ICB or ICW question bank. That makes 24 to 25 individual financial statements, which is pretty much a lot of enough number for a minimum scope. So until now we have talked about the two segments. That is, first of all, the IS and IFRS portion, and then we have talked about the individual financial statement portion. Now about the group accounting, which comprises of 20 to 30% of the marks of the questions. For group accounting, the approach I followed is, first, I completed my manual. That means the chapter of group. And while completing my manual, I made notes on each and every calculation which is common for the group accounting maths. For example, how to calculate the goodwill, how to calculate the non-controlling interest, how to calculate the fair value. So these are calculations which more or less you'll find in every group accounting math. So I made a separate note for these. So when I completed my ICAB professional level financial accounting and reporting manual regarding the group accounts, I had a very strong basic. Then for practice, I used, as I already said, I have 12 to 14 questions in previous year questions, suggested answer. I used them, and I used the 10 to 20 questions in the ICAB and ICW question. That is enough for group. Remember, for group, it's important that you do not make mistake in the regular entries. That means the goodwill calculations, the non-controlling interest. These are the entries which are very regular and they more or less come in every math of group. So you have to make sure that you do not make mistake in those entries rather than thinking about something critical. So do not really make it complicated for yourself. Make it very simple, that you need to clear a concept and you do not really have to make errors in regular entries. So after I cleared my concept and then I, separated the regular entries in separate notes, I just practiced from my manual and from the previous year question and the question banks. For group accounting, practice is very important because you need to make it a habit to do the math properly in examination hall. And one of the most important things is that for individual financial statements and group financial statements, it is not mandatory that you need to match, there's something we call that our SSN liability is matched. It's not the most important thing. If you for some reason you had different results, but your concept is good and your presentation in the examination paper has been good, you did not make any mistake in the regular areas, then the examiner will consider even if your results do not match. So this was the minimum scope which I talked about. Then if you want to extend, you can use the exam kit and manuals of other professional bodies like ACCA and ICW. You can use them. You also have your corporate reporting manual of your advanced level. You can use that also. But before going to these extended scope, first try to make sure that you complete the minimum scope. I hope this guideline helps you. If it helps you, then share it with your friends and you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.